Well, good evening, everyone, or whenever you're getting a chance to watch this, as we'll get to record this on YouTube too. Thank you so much for joining this evening here to learn a little bit more about our MS in Biological Science programs with our Department of Biological Sciences here at Nova Southeastern University's Halmos College of Arts and Sciences. My name is Teddy Uy. I'm one of the assistant directors working with the Halmos Graduate Admissions Office, and with me here today from my office is Fair Amro, who also works as one of our admissions counselors. And we have multiple people here from our Department of Biological Sciences, which you'll get to learn about here just a sec. So I wanted to go ahead and get you guys a little bit familiar with some of the upper echelons of the Halmos College. So right here we have Dean Holly Lynn Baumgartner. A little bit of a background about our college. We've gone through a couple of different names over the years, and of more recent, largely between the 2018 to 20 period, we went into a merger where we became the College of Arts and Sciences. And we'll be hearing a little bit more about our master's offering, of course, with biological sciences today, but I at least wanted you guys to get to know our background some bit. So just as a little bit of a purview about some of the different offerings we have over here, you can see some of them listed today. We are going to be specifically talking about our Master's of Science in Biological Sciences for concentrations looking into health studies, and separate tracks for doing research in the form of a thesis or capstone project, or even looking to do bioinformatics. Now, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our department chair, Dr. Emily Levin-Schmidt.
Hello, nice to see you all. I'm really happy we have some alumni here and a couple of the leadership of the faculty to talk to you about our master's degree. I'm looking forward to getting right into that. And so I'll just let us go to the next slide and introduce them. You can read about me a little bit. We have Dr. Rootnerine.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Deanne Rootnerine. I am the program director in the Department of Biological Sciences, and I teach a number of classes in the undergraduate, but also the graduate health studies concentration.
Hello, everyone. I'm Matt Johnston. I help to manage the bioinformatics and the research side of the master's program. And I also teach a number of the graduate courses in both of those concentrations.
Okay, you're going to be hearing quite soon, but there are 3 paths to go in the Masters of Biological Sciences, and our faculty have areas of expertise really in a lot of different fields, from health studies, microbiology, data science, bioinformatics, which, look at that, our bioinformatics student popped in right on cue with that word, bioinformatics. Genetics, and a whole bunch of other really neat backgrounds there. And Haley did her research concentration. So there's 3 concentrations: research, health studies, and bioinformatics. And they have similarities and differences that we'll get right into next, or pretty soon. Okay, so that's showing you that we have got a health studies concentration. And I'll let Dr. Rootnerine speak a little bit about that program for you.
Thank you, Dr. Schmidt. So the health studies concentration is a 1-year program, and it's really designed for students that are in a gap year or haven't taken their standardized exams yet for professional school, or maybe didn't do as well as they expected on the professional exams to get into professional school. So it is a 1-year program designed to bridge that area between undergrad and the professional school of your choice. So the health studies concentration, it's 3 semesters. It starts in the summer only. We have summer, fall, and winter. In the summer, we have 2 classes, and I think you have a larger PowerPoint for that, Teddy? Okay, yeah, actually, we can go to that one now. So it is a 12-month program, and in the summer semester, you really have 2 classes only, because in the summer semester, we're offering a free Kaplan test prep, in the hopes that in that summer semester, you'll actually be studying for your standardized exam, be able to take the exam, so that at the end of your master's program, you'll actually be able to apply and get into professional school. So apart from the Kaplan test prep, you're given a faculty mentor as soon as you come in. That faculty mentor is there with you for the entire year to help you out with any issues, any problems, and to help and encourage you along the way. We do have and pride ourselves on small class sizes. So you do have one-on-one mentorship, and you do have a good relationship with each of your professors. The program curriculum consists of, as I said, in the summer, 2 classes, so you have enough time to study for the standardized exams. In the fall, however, you do get into the very in-depth courses. You have pharmacodynamics, you'll have biochemistry, pathophysiology, and advanced anatomy. And in the winter semester, you'll also have 4 very heavy classes. At the end of the winter semester, you do have a comprehensive exam. The comprehensive exam is going to mimic what you have to do in professional school when you take your step exams or your board exams. And it covers information that you should know for the entire past year. At the end of that time, you will have your master's degree if you're successful in that comprehensive exam. By that time, you should have started your interviews for professional school and then hopefully be able to start professional school the following fall. We do have guaranteed interviews at all really of our NSU departments of our professional schools. We have guaranteed interviews with our osteopathic school, with the pharmacy, dental medicine, optometry, physician assistant, anesthesiology assistant. And of course, you do have to meet specific requirements that they set. And we also have guaranteed interviews with Kansas City College of Osteopathic Medicine and Kansas City College of Dental Medicine, also meeting their specific requirements.
All right, so the research concentration. So this is for students that want to kind of tailor their studies a little more towards their research areas. So there's 2 paths. There's the capstone path and the thesis path. The difference between the two is the thesis is more focused on doing actual research, and the capstone is more coursework based. You still do a final project in both tracks, and the number of courses that are required are the same in both tracks. So we have a wide variety of faculty interests from genetics, shark genetics, shark ecology, primates. We have one faculty member who studied the relationship between dogs and their owners. So there's lots of different interests, and what we want students to do is bring their interests and find a faculty member to actually help mentor them along their path. Students from this program can go into many different directions. Some do go into medicine, some go into NGOs or governmental agencies, private industry. It all kind of depends on how you direct your studies during your time at NSU. Can we go to the next slide here? So it is a 24-month program. It's 30 credits, similar to the health studies. So again, wide variety of interests. The ones that are listed here are just some of the faculty members. I would encourage anybody interested in this path to research our faculty members and see if you will fit into one of those research areas. As I mentioned, the thesis is more credit hours are dedicated towards actual research. About 40% of the credits are dedicated to research themselves, so which is higher than many other universities that offer master's programs. Again, we have some small class sizes. We're not a very large program. And an additional benefit is we do have some departmental funds that are available to both capstone and thesis students for both travel and for research equipment. So if you are in the program, we do offer support for you to go to conferences or purchase lab equipment if you need something along those lines. So the other concentration is the bioinformatics concentration. This is our new concentration. We have our first class graduating this fall. We'll be hearing from Paisley Samuel, who was in that concentration. So the bioinformatics is more for students that are interested in looking at genomics and looking at genetic data and working in that kind of field. However, I always my philosophy is that genetics data is just data. It's large, it's big data. And during the bioinformatics path, you will learn a lot about dealing with large data sets. So should you happen to go down a different path and not directly genetics related, you're still prepared to go into the ever-changing world and upcoming world of data analytics. Can we go on to the next slide? So it is a 16-month program, and it's over 3 semesters. It starts in the fall, and then you go to the winter semester, you have the summer semester off, and then you go the next fall. 10 courses, one of those is an elective, so you have a chance to take a course that is not in the main curriculum. But as a general rule, it's a lockstep program, so you take a prescribed order of courses along with your classmates of that certain year. So again, it's focused mainly on genetic data, but as I mentioned, my background is in programming, and I've worked with data of all sorts. And once you've learned to work with data, you can really use those skills in whatever path you want to go on as you move forward. So the program is fully online. All the coursework is online. There's a kind of a number of formats. Some are asynchronous, some are synchronous. Some provide live lectures. My courses that are in the major provide live lectures. Some don't provide live lectures. They provide recorded lectures. But they all, you know, are dealing with this large data, and a number of the courses have final projects as well. So yeah, I think I'm going to hand it off to Dr. Schmidt now, and she's going to talk about our alumni.
Okay, well, we've got right now 2 of our alumni in the house, and Giovanni Gomez here, he is in medical school, and I can only assume that something has come up with exams, and he's probably sequestered himself away suddenly. So Giovanni had done our undergraduate bachelor's degree here, and then he came and did our health studies degree. And we've got Paisley here, who did a master's of marine science, and then she came and did our master's of biological sciences. Ah, there he is. He must have taken a breath. And we've got Haley, who did a very antibiotic resistant kind of focus on her capstone work. So Haley, you want to say a few words there about your experience in our program and how it's prepared you on your way?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my research with the focus on antibiotic resistance, as that is a very big issue that we are facing globally. What I really liked about this program is the integration through the health studies concentration, the bioinformatics concentration, along with the research focus part of it. I really liked that I was able to go into classes with these different diversities of backgrounds, and really focus my research on something that I'm interested in, especially because I do want to go into medicine, and this is such a pressing issue that we're facing. I want to say that everyone in this program, all your professors and all the mentors, are a tremendous help, and they are there to help you every step of the way, and they really do take their time to sit and guide you through anything that you may be confused about or any questions that you may have. And they do help you brainstorm, troubleshoot when you're stuck on something, and just give you the best advice that they can think of. I love Nova. I attended there as an undergrad, so I was really excited to go get my master's there. I now adjunct with them, teaching Bio 1 Lab, which I absolutely love teaching. I figured it was a passion of mine. I love sharing my knowledge with everyone, and I have just applied to anesthesiology assistant school with Nova, so I'm really excited and hopeful to hear back from them soon.
Great. We'll pass it over to Paisley, and she can talk about specifically her path on the bioinformatics concentration.
Hey everyone. So for my, I guess, experience at Nova and a whole, As Dr. Schmidt said, I've done my master's at Nova already with in the marine science program. That's actually how I went into bioinformatics to begin with, because my master's thesis was on the effects of these harmful algal blooms that are happening in Lake Okeechobee on the microbial composition of the lake. And that really was basically just genomics all the way for my entire thesis. And having to deal with that, I kind of like fell in love with bioinformatics. So with that, the bioinformatics program, although it is a relatively new program, it is actually very, very I would say like it is lockstep, and it's very much put in the right order. So you start off with very general classes. You learn genomics on a whole and dealing with biological data science and all of that. And then it goes more specific into metagenomics, transcriptomics, and you do have some computer classes because this is a computer program heavy, I guess, subject. So you do have some computer classes. So there is some classes where you do end up with some of the engineering students and like computer engineering students, but everybody is very helpful. The faculty know exactly what they're doing. Also, every faculty that teaches in the bioinformatics has dealt with biological data science at any step of their career, so they do help you in that sense. And I would say this is a very, very good program to be a part of. If you need help with anything, somebody will be there for you. And yeah, it's a very good program to be a part of.
All right, and we have Giovanni, and now Giovanni is representing the health studies concentration. That one is kind of the opposite of bioinformatics in format because it's fully in person. It starts in the summer and it goes continuously for 10 courses. So, and then maybe at the end, you find yourself enrolled in the professional program of your choice, right, Giovanni?
Yeah, it really, really did help a lot. Do you want me to go into it? Well, can you guys hear me well? All right.
Yep. So yeah, go into it. Why are you happy that you came to our master's degree program, and what was your experience?
I think Haley and Daisy really hit it on the nail when they said just how supportive a lot of the faculty were. Dr. Rosemarine, as she mentioned before, she told you that you guys get paired with a mentor, and she was actually my mentor, and she really, really helped me with every single step of the process, the application cycle. But in general, this program really gives you a leg up in terms of content and a good foundation once you enter whatever program you enter. I know for medical school, it really helps me. Like for instance, yesterday we were talking about myasthenia gravis and Lambert-Eaton syndrome. And in your winter semester for the master's program for health sciences concentration, we have a class called neurobiology, and I actually had to give a whole presentation about myasthenia gravis. So they just mentioned it, and I was like, oh yeah, I already know like all about it. Like it really, really did help. And it goes really beyond that. For example, biochemistry, that was not my strongest point, but now going through it the third time, it really does make sense. And just in general, the way that the whole program is formatted, it will give you a really big leg up. At least that's what I found.
And I'm pretty sure we're getting to it, but we also have ways of helping students gain experience and funds while they're in the program. And all of these students were able to be graduate TAs, which is a very special program.
So I'll go ahead and take over from here. we're going to go ahead and then look into a little bit more details regarding application requirements, details for regarding deadlines, and then we'll actually get to take a look at what the application actually entails in a little bit more detail. So just as a reiteration for the differentiation of our health studies track, it is a summer start only. So for those of you that are looking for the upcoming cycle of summer 2025, you'd be looking at May time in usually a little bit more towards the end of May is where we'll be looking for application deadlines, but ideally, get all those items in as soon as you can so that we can take a look as soon as possible. Specifically, what we're looking at as the full application here, you have an NSU graduate application. That's going to have more of your general information, so personal data like biographic, demographic information, as well as prior college info. For any of our attendees here that are current or past students of NSU, you can do what are called internal transcript requests, which are completely free for you as a student, and you'll be able to send an updated version of your NSU transcripts over to our office that we'll be able to have added to your application. Otherwise, for anyone who had attended a university outside of NSU, well, we'll be able to discuss how you would go about sending that in just a moment here. Now, on top of that, we do require 2 letters of recommendation. Those should come from academic sources, such as a past advisor, professor, program director, anything like that. And we will, of course, want to learn as much as we can about you as a student. So, traits, characteristics, different stories, or things like that that allow us to learn a little bit more insight as to how you have been as a student or in relatable areas does a wonderful job of adding to the strength of your application. You're also going to have a personal statement that is a little bit more about, of course, why you're interested in the program, professional goals that you have, and anything else that you would want us to know about you as an applicant. And we're looking minimum 2.85 GPA, although I will say we really want you to be more closer to a 3.0 or higher for this program. Now, looking into Looking into the research program, so we offer entrance into this program for all of our terms in one academic year, which is fall, winter, and summer period. For the most recent term that you'll be looking into, we have winter 2025, and that is just around the corner. Actually, to date, it's going to be just about a month to the deadline. And usually our application deadlines, we do try and make that fall to the end of the week on a Friday so that you have that preceding week to get in any remaining materials. If you're having any issues whatsoever getting any of those items submitted for your application, please reach out to us so that we can look into troubleshooting it or create a plan of action to tackle the issue. Now, in terms of the application, you're going to be looking at pretty much the same types of requirements here. So you have the general application again, all of your transcripts. Now, general rule of thumb too, I like to say when it does come to your official transcripts, if you've attended more than one institution where you've received college credit, we do generally need transcripts from each institution. In some very rare instances, say maybe you just took like a random Spanish class at community college, that may not be completely necessary to have with your review, but general rule of thumb, I would say submit everything. Again, any questions, reach out to us. You'll have those 2 letters of recommendation again and a personal statement, and along with that minimum 2.85 GPA requirement. Now, specifically, as you look into our deadlines with this, if anything happens and you need to defer your application, please contact us so that we can look into it further. Depending on what requirements are missing, we may be able to discuss with the program office an opportunity to get some of those remaining items in, but that is more per their discretion. Then finally, what we're looking at for bioinformatics, as Dr. Johnson was saying a little bit earlier, you do start for fall only. So that's going to follow the general fall application deadline, which will be July 18th. Again, that will be a Friday, and you're having those same requirements. On top of all of those general application requirements, we do need our students to have taken specific coursework as prerequisites, as we do not require, say, a specific major. So generally speaking, you should have taken Bio 1 and 2 with their lab components, general chemistry 1 with lab component, calculus 1 or higher as a math class, and then applied statistics or biostatistics, and usually a science elective course such as anatomy and physiology. They also recommend taking some other upper level courses such as organic chemistry to help strengthen your application too. Now, looking into what you would see as an application, this page here is actually going to represent your account overview. So your first step when creating an application account with us is to be able to put in some of that general contact information, which will then kind of kickstart your application when you come in. So this is going to be what you'd log into when you look to start your application. At the very top, I know it's a little hard to see. Let me zoom in a little bit over here. You're going to come in over here and you'll see it listed as your biological sciences. Please make sure you are clicking biological sciences when you choose your program application. We have a very similar sounding program here called biomedical sciences. It is a separate program. Please make sure you have that correct as you start your application. Second. Now, if you're having any sort of technical issues, I do generally recommend reaching out to our graduate admissions office first, actually, instead of, say, contacting IT services. Only reason I'm saying that more of late is so that we can kind of identify what your actual issue is. If it's necessary to contact IT services, then of course we'll take that additional step, but in some cases we may be able to assist ourselves. If you're getting locked out of your account, we may be able to unlock it, but if not, then we're able to then jumpstart that with IT services, and that way we expedite the process without having any sort of confusion as you talk, say, further with IT services. Now, as you start the application, you'll be able to see a variety of subtabs when you're coming in. So you're going to have the biographical information and contact information. As I was just saying before, that's more of your general data like name, date of birth, address, any sort of affiliation with the university, et cetera, et cetera. Ideally, we would say when you make your initial account creation to use a non-university related email, only just because if you're going to be graduating out, of course, prior to that time, then you may lose access to that email later on, and we will be sending relevant and important information about updates about your application, or if necessary, later on in regards to any sort of admissions procedures. So if you have any issues about that, or if you already created an account, it's not too big of an issue. We just want to make sure that we have up-to-date contact information for you, just in case we need to get a hold of you. Now, for some of the program and additional information here, this is really just more making sure that you're choosing the correct entry terms and actual concentrations. So all of the different programs fall underneath the larger name of MS in Biological Sciences, but remember, specific to your concentration is when you'd be looking to enter the program. So for health studies, you're making sure you're choosing summer. We are able to update your entry term if you do choose the wrong one later on, but ideally we just want to make sure that you're choosing that correctly right off the bat, because then that allows us to move forward, of course, with helping you with different areas of the application. As necessary, if at any point during creating your application, if you need to defer it out, your application, once you have submitted the general application portion and paid that $50 fee, it is then valid for the next academic year. So for those that would say be applying for the upcoming summer term, if you weren't able to start for summer, maybe you're missing some items for your application, you would then have to defer out to the next following summer term. That is something that you want to keep in mind, and that extends also for bioinformatics for fall start term too. Now, on the prior college information, for those of you that are still completing your bachelor's degree, we have one little item that you'll have to follow up on, which is your transcripts. So you must be in your final semester in order to be formally reviewed for the program itself. So usually if you're going to be graduating in the springtime as a senior, then or the next year, then as soon as this fall's grades have been posted to your transcripts, you'll be able to start formally applying. And that pretty much lines up around when they would be looking to start reviewing applications anyways, because that does tend to fall towards the end of the fall semester. Now, once you have gotten your degree conferred and you are ready to submit that, it can be submitted the same way that you would with your initial application, but do please contact us. We do our best, of course, to make sure that you're following those degree conferral requirements before starting the program. But if, say, you got the confirmation email from your registrar office that the transcripts are received, but you're not seeing any sort of notification pop up from our end, that's when we can go ahead and take a look. Perhaps it might have just been what we call an orphan document, where they may have been missing some sort of personal identifiers on that document. So we may have received it, but it just hasn't been added to your account. And that's where us in admissions can go ahead and step in. Now, for any of our non-US students that are looking to apply to the program, we are going to need any non-US college credit evaluated for US equivalency. And we do that through a larger entity called the National Association of Credential Evaluation Services, or more commonly referred to as NACIS. Many are actually familiar with some of the larger names, such as WES, World Evaluation Services. That's a big one that I know many of our students go and look for, or SpanTran, that's another big one. But you can find a full listing of all active members on their website. If you need that at all, feel free to reach out to us. Now, in terms of how you would submit those transcripts, we can accept them one of two ways. Most groups now, or excuse me, I should say institutions or third-party vendors are able to send it electronically over email. So that should be sent to electronictranscript@nova.edu. If it becomes necessary to send physical copies, we do have a physical address that you will need to mail it to for our enrollment processing office, which handles the intake of any admissions documents. Now, at this point in the application, you will then have submitted the initial NSU application. This does not mean that your application is complete, essentially the first half. Once you pay that $50 fee and have that NSU application submitted, you'll come over here to where it's going to be your admissions documents. I apologize, I know the photo says supplemental items. I went through a small update in naming. So this is where you're going to be able to see the status of, say, your recommendation request, as well as your transcripts. Likewise, again, as I was just saying, if you've gotten any sort of confirmation either from your register office or whoever you use to send transcripts, or say even your references that they sent in letters or documents and you're not seeing it updated on the application, feel free to reach out to us and we'll look into it further. Generally speaking, for admissions items, or excuse me, application items like the transcripts, that can take anywhere from as short as 3 days for processing time all the way up to 10 days. Kind of depends on the point of the year that you're catching them on for intake of documents themselves. Now, otherwise, when it's usually items like your letters of recommendation, those are usually fully processed within 24 hours of being received. And there's a couple of things that we do need to keep in mind format-wise for your letters of recommendation. So you are required to submit 2, but you can submit a maximum of 3. If the recommenders do not receive the electronic form, and it usually takes a form of an email that's sent to them, let us know. In some instances, we'll try and resend that form for them to be able to fill out and then attach their letter to, or if it becomes necessary, we may just have them directly send their written letters to us and we'll have it added to your application. On the note of the recommendation form itself, there's a couple of common mistakes that we've been seeing, especially recently. So I just wanted to go over those with you guys tonight. Some of the biggest issues we're seeing, one, and I know some of this you would think is rather straightforward, but again, you'd be rather surprised, is one, saving your information. At the bottom of the recommendation form, please make sure they are saving their information that they have just provided in all the fields. They're going to get a couple of different questions on a larger survey that they'll need to answer then and then save that information before hitting submit. And then the other portion of this is that we do need a written letter. We can't just have that electronic form most of the time. So what happens is what you're seeing here on screen in that top photo, this is where your recommender is going to upload that file, but you need to understand that it's just a tad confusing in that how it's actually uploaded. So when you select a file, it's going to show like in the second photo here down below, and you're seeing a little highlighter there, and it shows that a file has been selected, but you need to press that upload button afterwards to actually have the then written document attached to the letter. What we're seeing of late is that the individuals who receive the form will go ahead and fill out the survey questions, but then they forget to actually press the upload button. And then when they go and submit it, we only get the electronic form instead of also then having the written letter. So those are just a couple of common mistakes. We want to make sure that we can avoid as much as possible. We, of course, are always doing our best to look through those, make sure we're getting everything necessary for the letter of recommendation request. If we need you to do anything or take any action, we'll, of course, let you know. And this is going to be our larger team here. So as I was saying at the beginning of our meeting here today, with me here today is Farah Amro as a fellow admissions counselor here at the Halmos College. Presently, who we would generally have you reaching out to from the admissions side, her name is Megan Choi, but she is on personal leave right now. So myself, as well as our director for the graduate admissions team here, Brett McAllister, as well as Farah and I are all happy to answer any questions that you may have. Most of the time, if you're going to call into our general email or our phone number, you're actually going to get Andrew there on the far right. If they're more general questions, he's usually able to help you out, or otherwise he'll, of course, attach you or connect you with one of us from the admissions team. Now, of course, the big question that many are looking to learn a little bit more about is the cost of attendance over here. So looking for the 2024-2025 fiscal year, and we structure our tuition rates on a per credit hour basis, we're looking at 1,496 per credit hour. Since the program is going to dictate how many credits you take, you're typically just going to take that multiplied by however many credits you're taking for that semester to get your total semesterly amount. The fees that you're seeing listed for a calendar year follow the academic year. So that's split between your 3 terms. For full-time students, that's a $600 reoccurring fee. And that's one of the very few fees that you get on a reoccurring basis. You can very much think of this as your student services fee. So this is going to pay for any of those different resources that you'll make use of, whether you're studying in person, say for the health studies program, or taking advantage of any of those online resources that you're most certainly going to get to use, say, in our bioinformatics concentration. If you do fall to part-time status, it does become a reduced amount down to 300 per semester. So instead of 1,800, you'd be looking at 900 per year instead. Now, on the subject of scholarships, I know our faculty here have gone to talk about it in various instances over here. So first and foremost, just to clarify, sorry, I thought I heard something. Did you say something, Dr. Schmidt?
Oh, I was just getting ready to say I wanted to let the alumni there talk about the really wonderful benefit that they each had from being a graduate TA. I bet that's on your next, that's on that
Oh, yeah,
slide.
absolutely. Feel
The
free.
graduate teaching assistantship. It's something really special and also helps the students get experience teaching, which always comes in handy. So it pays for about half of the cost of the program if you are in the teaching assistantship position for the whole time that you're in there. So Haley had one experience with that because she's taking a couple of courses a semester. Giovanni he was in the health studies program, so he was taking 4 courses a semester, and you teach 2 Bio 1 or Bio 2 labs. So I was just going to pass it around and let Giovanni could say about how it was to be a TA from a health studies perspective. And I know that that helped you be able to afford your education here, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely helps in terms of the financial aspect. But I think even more than that was the experience itself and being able to teach. And at the same time, it really helped a lot of the information solidify for me. Like for instance, I'm taking biochemistry now, like I was saying before. We went over some of the techniques that we did in the lab like last year. So some of the stuff I was teaching the students, I'm being taught back to me. So I don't know. For me, that's what really stood out. And then also in terms of the application cycle, every time I mentioned that I was a TA and that I was able to teach the students in the undergrad college, that was a really nice talking point. And it really makes you stand out too.
That's right, because not everyone applying to the next level of their education has had so much responsibility working with students just one level down, right, in their educational experience. And like you say, you really gain a lot of experience. Haley, why don't you talk a little bit about that too?
Yeah, so what I really liked about being a teacher's assistant is not only does it help you cover some of the cost of your tuition, you also do get paid separately on that, which is great. But for me personally, it showed me that I do have a passion for teaching and that I actually really enjoy teaching something that I love to learn about. I loved learning about and sharing that knowledge with incoming students who this may be their first time taking Bio 1. And as someone who loves research as well, I love showing them different techniques and how to properly use the equipment. Another thing that I feel like it really helped with is throughout the program, whether you're health studies or research or bioinformatics, you do have to get up and give a lot of presentations for some of your classes. And then at the end, if you are research or bioinformatics, concentration track, you do have to get up and defend your research at the end of it. So I feel like speaking in front of a large class really helps prepare you to do that and feel more confident and comfortable speaking in front of an audience and answering any questions that people may have. It helps you really think on the spot. It helps prepare you. And like Giovanni said, it does refresh your memory from a class that you've taken so long ago, or you may find the connections of, wow, this Bio 1 work or this Bio 2 work really does correlate with now my graduate study coursework. So that's something that I loved about it. And then once it showed me my passion for teaching, I was very excited and I went and applied to be an adjunct as soon as I graduated.
Right. And we've got Paisley. Paisley has a research assistantship working in the lab where she's doing some research. And she's in a unique position with the bioinformatics concentration. It is a fully online program, but she's actually present physically on ground. And she's got a research assistantship and has also been involved in teaching to help gain experience and help to pay for the cost of tuition. Maybe she wants to say something, and it seems like she's busy pipetting here forever.
No, I'm actually not at work for the first time. But yeah, just to kind of reiterate what Giovanni and Haley said, me personally, teaching has actually helped me on a personal note as well, because I am not the greatest speaker when it comes to public speaking, but having my kids, as I call them, and teaching them in lab actually really helps strengthen my public speaking skills. Um Also with teaching, again, yes, it does help financially, but it really does help in the sense of your career. And with being in science, you constantly have to network and communicate your results and talk about your research with people who know what you're doing, people who don't know what you're doing. So it kind of does help, because you in your lab you do have students who has been in a lab setting, and you have people students who hasn't been in a lab setting, so it really does help on that front. But I have been a TA for around 2 years now, and it's honestly really fun, I would say. I love being in the lab. As Dr. Schmidt said, I am a research assistant as well in one of the labs at the Ocean campus. So I really do enjoy being in the lab. So just being in a lab and helping other students kind of find that love for what they want to do in the lab as well, really overjoys me.
Wanted to make sure that you would have plenty of time to be able to ask questions of our alumni and faculty. You know, you're always able to reach out to our team if you have questions along the way as well.
Absolutely. And that's why, I've been reiterating it. Please reach out to us if you have questions. We really want to be able to help as much as we can. Just as a final note, before I continue forward with the presentation on the scholarships page over here. So many of the different scholarship options that you're seeing bulleted over here, you can see listed on the scholarships page. I did also actually want to mention I'm very excited to have been able to add one new section to the scholarship page fairly recently in reference to different tuition discount opportunities we have available to students. So one of them is a more general one that is available usually to full-time employees at the university. I would stipulate that resource page is more just for informational purposes, not necessarily say where you would go to inquire further about it, but I do have links on that page where you can get that information. And you can also, on that same scholarships page, read about the details of the teaching assistantship, the scholarship amounts that comes with that. If they have questions about the application process for that, Dr. Schmidt, is it okay for them to reach out to you?
Yes, of course. We've got a good team here. So health studies, Dr. Rootmarine, I would usually pass it to her and she would answer. And health research and bioinformatics, I would pass it to Dr. Johnston. So you could email all three of us at once, and whoever can get it routed quickly, we do that. So absolutely reach out to us, and we can also put you in contact with alumni for sure.
All right. So before I believe Dr. Roopnarine gets to talk a little bit more about some of those alumni, did just want to quickly mention, of course, feel free to follow our office, NSU HCast, to learn more about some of our different events that we are hosting, both virtually online, such as these open house, or if we're having anything in person. As a quick plug on that, actually, for any of my NSU students in attendance here, we are going to be holding a little informal event, Lunch and Learn, where we'll get to have some of our faculty in person, actually, over in DeSantis 3000 if you want to come out and pay us a visit. It's just going to be a nice little informal event. If you want to come learn more about it, connect with our faculty, and of course, grab a little bit of food along the way.
That's a fun photo right there. That's on the day that the health studies students ended their program with a comprehensive exam that is designed to prepare you as exams that you would have in professional school. And then the research students join us, the bioinformatics students join us, and the faculty, and we have a little lunch celebration and take a picture. So that was us having a celebratory moment. Remember that? Well, maybe that picture doesn't have this group in it.
No.
Well, we keep doing this every year, so imagine yourself in that picture. We would love to celebrate with you. Then we're so proud of our alumni, and our website has a slideshow and stills on some parts of it that show some of the alumni spotlights throughout the years. Now, remember, we have 3 different concentrations, so students getting out of our program go into various research fields, like a PhD perhaps. That's what Sydney there in the upper left did. She got into her PhD at North Carolina State, or the one on the right got into a PhD at Duke. Another person decided to go work in pharmaceuticals there. And so that's what Rebecca did. Sometimes students in our health studies concentration end up going to medical school, and sometimes people in the health studies end up going to research. So, but typically the health studies concentration is really focused on the pre-professional program. So we can go on the next picture here. We're proud of all of our students, and Talon Tran, I'll get over to Dr. Rootmarine. He benefited from one of our very special arrangements that we have.
So first thing I want to point out to all the students here who are looking, that the alumni spotlights, a lot of these students, you see the program they're in now, but they were accepted to actually multiple programs. And Giovanni's also one of them. He is at NSU College of Osteopathic Medicine, but he's accepted to more than one program. So both Talon and Victor were actually students that took advantage of our guaranteed interview, and they actually got into the programs of their choice. Emily Falcon got into Orlando College of Osteopathic Medicine. If I'm not, Giovanni also got accepted to Orlando. Is that true, Giovanni?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay. So our students get accepted to multiple programs, and Derek also. Can continue, Teddy. And you can see that our students go to a number of different professional programs. So you have those that are going on to medical school, those are going on to dental, those that go to physician assistant, and of course, some of those that also go to anesthesiology assistant. An example of someone who took a different path is Myra, and you can see she actually does research at one of the National Institutes of Health. And these are a couple of other students, 2 of them in dental and 1 in a physician assistant program. And both, actually all 3 of them, Maria, Mark, and Alex, were accepted to multiple programs. So I think it's now time for the audience to ask questions. You have a lot of people to ask questions here, so go ahead.
And there is a Q&A function, so if you don't want to be speaking or through the mic, feel free to put it in the chat. But if you'd like to speak, just raise your hand and I'll give you the ability. Well, at least to kick us off here, since we got a little bit of cold feet, I know one question that I've gotten quite a bit. This would be more for, I would say, Dr. Rup-Noreen when it comes to health studies. Outside of some of the prerequisite courses I got to list out as like general, like the biology class, general bio 1 and 2 and chemistry 1, what about, say, on the upper level coursework would you prefer students coming into the program to have?
So basically, to be successful in this program, remember you are trying to earn a master's degree, you should have some upper level biology classes. You definitely should have your organic chemistry and of course your bio 1 and bio 2. The reason for this is you are going to be taking advanced anatomy, you're going to be taking advanced biochemistry. So you really should have an organic chemistry background. You should have at least anatomy 1 before you come in. So those are the courses we're looking for, but definitely looking for some upper level classes from the students.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Ruperine. I have one question here in the chat from Daniela. She's asking, can you speak more about the research assistantship positions that help with tuition costs? So I can jump in for one portion of it, and then perhaps Dr. Johnson could give his more personal opinion, I know, as it relates to, especially with some of the research side of things. On general, those positions, because they are considered full-time positions with the university, they do award the employee tuition discount, which at master's level is an 80% tuition reduction. Now, in terms of usage of that tuition waiver, there is a 6-month probationary period that has to be completed beforehand in order to utilize that discount. And you can utilize the discount on a maximum of 6 credits a semester. As you've seen in some of the different formats of the programs, you are able to take more than 6 credits in different instances, but just know that you would not be able to utilize the discount on more than 6. With that too, if you have, it's really going to be more related to the individual lab's funding. Do you have anything to add on that at all, Dr. Johnson?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that exact same thing. So the positions are not positions that are always available. It depends on funding. So what I would really encourage students to do is research our faculty and contact them to see if they do have funded research assistantships available, and then pursue it that way. It's unlike the TAs, which the TAs we have every single semester, and we still have to apply for them and everything. The research assistantships, they're not always available. So, and they may not be in exactly what you're interested in. So you need to kind of feel around with faculty members to see if they have anything available.
And then I know Dr. Schmidt's writing an answer right now, but I figured I'd just read it out loud. One student is asking for the letter of recommendation. Does it matter which teacher we receive it from, or does it have to be from a science professor? So I feel like each one of you guys would probably have a little bit of an answer on that, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I can chime in on that. So we prefer that the letters of recommendation come from somebody who has taught you science courses. And you can, if you've worked in industry, for example, and have a boss or something, that works, but we really do prefer to see that it comes from somebody that has some knowledge about your science background and your ethics and how you work in your coursework. I also wanted to mention part of the application process, you do write an essay, and we really look at that from the research side. Because we want to see that students have actually researched our faculty and to see that they will actually fit into a lab. Because you are going to have to find somebody to mentor your project. So if you're doing something that's very far outside, or if you want to do something that's very far outside of the research faculty specialties, it's kind of a harder sell for us to accept you because we have to then find somebody to mentor you. So pay a lot of attention to that essay that you write. As far as coursework, we also like to see that you've taken advanced science courses, upper level science courses, and you got good grades in those courses, of course.
Wonderful advice. Thanks, Dr. Johnston.
Right, you're building the case. I was just going to add, always think of this. You're building the case for why you're a good fit for a Master's of Biological Sciences program. So you want to build a good case with your essay, with your course portfolio, with your plan. Yeah, any of our alumni have any hints on that or insight on how you found the application process?
Yeah, so as far as your personal statement goes, what I did for my personal statement is I opened it up with my reason why, what brought me to this point of why I'm choosing this path. And in that case, it was that my mom has Parkinson's disease. And I led that into talking about how I want to go into research so that way I can get a deeper understanding into how this disease works and understand how research works in other aspects as well. And then through that, when I was going into finding out what I wanted to research for, which is a question some of you may have, is when I get into this program and I'm doing the research side, how do I choose my research? How do I get into it? Well, what you do have to do is you have to get to know the faculty and the professors that are a part of the program and that are offering to take on graduate students. And then you look into what they research and you basically base your research off what works for you and what's a good match for you as a mentor through your professor to be your PI. And you kind of work off research that they've already completed and you kind of piggyback off of that and build upon that. Um, so not I didn't end up going into Parkinson's research, but I did find the antibiotic resistance as I figured that is also a very big issue that a lot of us we still don't have a full grasp on or answers for of how to fully combat this. I hope that helped answer the question.
That's excellent advice.
Thank you.
Actually, I can answer one of the questions in the chat. When we said that we look at upper level biology classes and someone asked, can neuroscience classes also substitute for that? Yes, if you do have upper level neuroscience classes, we do look at those as well very favorably. But with that, you should have your organic chemistry classes as well in order to be successful in biochemistry in the master's program.
And I wanted to add on the bioinformatics track, we prefer students that have taken some technology courses. So either some beginner programming courses or database courses, or at least some kind of technology, because the coursework is going to be heavily technology based, heavily based computing, programming, that type of work. So if you have zero background in it, it makes it a little bit harder for us to say to judge whether this person is going to be successful. So that is quite important in bioinformatics.
That's a great little add-on there. I was actually going to ask that question myself, Dr. Johnson. I've had a couple of students ask that, in fact. I have one question that I know I can answer a little bit more. Is federal financial aid available for the program, or the tuition cost due out of pocket? So there is generally more at the graduate level you'll find through, say, the FAFSA application. You're more going to look and see options for different types of loans, not necessarily gift-based awards, such as grants. So most graduate level students that qualify for the Graduate Plus loan, which generally gives you $20,500 for one academic year. Then you may also, case-by-case scenario, qualify for different types of unsubsidized loans. I know for most students, or I would say maybe all students, that's not the ideal situation, but it is good to know what type of options you have. Otherwise, you may take a look into those different scholarship offerings that we were talking about earlier. If I did not mention this previously, please keep in mind you must first be admitted to the program before you can apply for those scholarships. Generally, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Schmidt, but you guys usually start looking for the TAs, around like mid-April-ish of the calendar year?
Yes, we send out information to anyone who has applied and shown interest. We like to do the interviews for sure and start making assignments in May. So there is a benefit to you for applying as early as you can, because we like to fill our assignments. There's some flexibility, right, Giovanni? But we'd like you to, I say that because he came to us right at the end, and I think he's quite happy with his choice. And he almost lost his TA position. So that's a risk that you run, but he did get his TA position and kept it for the entirety of the program.
Thank you so much. I have one other question here. Do we need a bachelor's degree in biology for the biological sciences program, or can we apply with a different degree? So the short answer is no, you don't need to have a degree in biology. We would, the program office, I should say, does prefer to have your degree in an applicable science field. But as I was discussing a little bit earlier, we need certain coursework. So at bare minimum, you need general bio 1 and 2 with lab, general chem 1 with lab, calculus 1 or higher, applied statistics or biostatistics, and then a science elective course, usually like anatomy and physiology, for example. But then as Dr. Root Marine was alluding to more specifically for health studies, there is a variety of different upper level coursework within biology and chemistry that you should be taking in addition to that, just to strengthen your application all the more so, because you're going to need that information in order to do well in the program and then subsequently as you move into a health professional program too.
Yeah, and from the research side, we definitely look at your coursework. It's not to say that we would exclude somebody that didn't have a lot of upper level biology and is not a biology major. We look at it as an entire package, but that's definitely a positive if you have upper level biology and you're a biology major.
And then I think this was in reference to the TA application. Chancey is asking, how does the interview process look like? And if you meant for the formal application, Chancey, if you could clarify.
The interview process for the TA position, you write a separate statement for why you want to be a graduate TA, how you're going to be able to handle the TA job with your graduate studies, and what kinds of experience you have that make you a really good fit for the position. Then you make a video lesson that we tell you how to do that. And then you have a very short interview with the people, the faculty who oversee the graduate teaching program. And then we make our selections. So that's the interview for that. And that's why it's very important, if you're especially interested in getting a graduate TA position, that you try to make that known to us as in the faculty as soon as possible. You don't want to let that pass you by. Then neuroscience classes, I'll let Dr. Rootmering speak to that. We do have some graduate neuroanatomy in our health studies course.
Yes, so we do have one class in neurosciences, systems neuroscience in the second semester. But I thought the question wanted to know if we accepted neuroscience classes, and yes, we do, as equivalent to upper level biology classes. Yes, we do.
And then Chancey followed up and clarifying that, yeah, she did refer to the TA app, but also for the application itself. And I can comment a little bit more on that. Usually for the application review, they don't need to have an interview, but if they, but it may become necessary, they'd be more in contact with you about that and setting that up. If you guys wanted to add anything about what you personally usually go through, if it's necessary, I feel like that would help her out a little more.
Usually if we do the interview process, it's usually for clarification, or if they have courses that were not really equivalent to biology, we really do want to interview those students to determine exactly what classes, what they're looking for in a professional program, etc. But otherwise, if everything is complete on the application and personal statement, all the transcripts are in, usually we can make a decision on that.
Yeah, we generally don't do an interview for the application, but if like Deanne said, if there is questions about it, we'll usually go through the admissions and have them ask more questions to clarify what is in the application.
All righty. Do we have any other questions from the audience at this time?
Daniela was asking about the research concentration, and she was wondering if there's mentors focused on microbiology. So my focus for the research was microbiology. It was antibiotic resistance, and what I did was phage work. A phage is a virus that is bacteria specific, where it can infect certain strains are species of bacteria. So I focused mine on finding a phage that can infect Enterococcus faecalis, which is one of the leading causes of antimicrobial resistance, especially in hospitals. So there are mentors that focus in microbiology at our research center and at the Halmos College. I believe when you get accepted to the program, they do send you a list of mentors that are looking to take on graduate students, and they speak a little bit about their research interest. And then what you could do is you can go on to Nova and then read more about those mentors and reach out to them separately and see if you would be a good match with them and see if your interests align with theirs as well.
Yeah, further to that, I give an orientation at the start, and I go through the faculty that are taking students and kind of their research interests. But all of the research interests are on the website. So go to our website, look at the faculty of the biology, and just do research on each individual one. There's a lot of microbiology going on. We also do, some of the faculty members over in HPD do mentor our biology students as well. So that is also a possibility.
And Dr. Johnson, actually, I kind of had a follow-up question in terms of at least research. Would you recommend students to check out NSU Works at all to learn about some of the other faculty and some of their past research?
Absolutely. Each faculty member has a NSU Works profile, and that lists, excuse me, all of their published works. You can also search and see which students they have mentored in the past. So that's an excellent start. You can also look directly on Google Scholar and find the faculty there and research their papers. Like I said, in the application process, we want to see that you are going to fit in with our faculty. So the more background knowledge you know, and the more you can sell yourself as fitting in somewhere, that speaks volumes to that you actually research the program and know what you want to do, and that if we accept you, you're going to be successful, because we factor in all of that when we look at the applications.
Wonderful. So if any of you guys are interested in learning more about anything we've discussed here, if you wanted to get access to any of those resource pages we discussed, including NSU Works, I'm more than happy to send over links for that after we're done here today. But otherwise, I wanted to thank you all so much for joining us this evening. As a quick reminder, we will be putting this recording up on our YouTube channel, which you can search up as NSU, Halmos College of Arts and Sciences. Once we get that up there, we'll, of course, also send you guys a link directly over email with that, so you can look at it at your leisure. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful evening and take care.